While Rick opened his car and started to climb out, she hurried down to meet him. She was wearing practical jeans, white trainers, and a navy sweatshirt, but he had gone smart in a Gatsby-style pale pink striped linen blazer, an open-necked shirt, and tan trousers. On his feet was a pair of two-toned suede deck shoes that looked brand new. She found herself hoping that they wouldn't get dirty. "Good morning," he said in a cheery voice before opening the passenger door for her with a flourish. He made sure that she was comfortably settled with her bag on her lap before shutting her in and moving around to his side of the vehicle. Once seated, he produced 2 small silver thermos flasks from a carrier at his feet and passed one to her. "I thought you might like some coffee for the journey. I made it with hot milk. I hope that's all right." He was very gallant and seemed anxious that he might have done the wrong thing, but Chabela put his mind at rest. "Perfect," she said, unscrewing the lid that doubled as a drinking cup and pouring herself a few mouthfuls. "How thoughtful. Thank you." To her relief, Rick was a careful driver, sticking to the speed limit and checking in his mirrors frequently, which meant that she could sit back, relax, and enjoy the trip. As they buzzed along country lanes, he was quiet while she did most of the talking, commenting on her new job, the people she'd met, and her general impressions of the area so far. Every now and again she'd drop in a personal question, and his answers were quite stilted, until she got onto the subject of his interest in local history, when he became positively animated. "You should have come to Florence's talk on sanitation through the ages," he said. "It was fascinating." Chabela had forgotten to buy a ticket, and when she remembered, it had been too late as the talk was already underway. "I'll try to make the next one," she promised. They came to a junction, and he paused, checking this way and that, before taking a sharp right. Soon they were on a major road flanked by tall trees on either side, with little traffic in either direction. While he kept his eyes firmly ahead, she found herself glancing at him surreptitiously, and she was struck, once again, by the bushiness of his long grey beard and sideburns, and the way in which his moustache curled at the ends, as if he'd used heated rollers. His lips, protruding from all that fuzz, were quite full and surprisingly pink, almost indecently so, while his fingers, gripping the steering wheel, were like the plump pork sausages that she'd seen for sale in the Tremarnock village store. She looked away quickly. He was kind and charming, for sure, but she couldn't ever imagine him as anything other than a friend. Alfonso, by contrast, was olive-skinned and smooth all over, with little in the way of body hair. How she'd love to run her flattened hand across the contours of his chest. Him again. Everything always led back there. She clenched her fists and forced herself to focus on the road ahead, until her eyes started to sting and go blurry. It took about 40 minutes to arrive at their destination, and they swung into a car park with a big sign in the corner saying, "Welcome to Wheelcheston. Come and look inside." To their left, a tall, thin granite chimney rose high into the sky. Once it would have been fiery hot and belching out smoke, but now pale green ivy grew up the sides, and it was flecked with orangey-yellow lichen. Beside it were the remains of what must have been the square-shaped engine house. Towering behind that was the old pit-head winding gear machine for lifting and lowering men and materials into the shaft. Still and silent now, Chabela thought that she could nevertheless still picture the great wheels turning, and the men with their hats and candles huddling together as the metal cage went down, down into the bowels of the earth. Rick led the way to the ticket booth, and was adamant that he wanted to pay for them both. "My treat," he insisted, pushing away Chabela's proffered £20 note. "You can buy me a drink later." Soon they were making their way through the gate into the main enclosure. This was a large patch of grass, dotted with picnic tables, and surrounded by a number of purpose-built chalets housing assorted exhibits. The entrance to the mine itself was on the far side.